All right, Patriots. Now, this video here, this is one for the ages. This is one that any Republican, any American loving patriot has been waiting on since 2023 when the whole thing dropped. And we're talking about the prosecution, or should I say the persecution, of President Trump and 18 other co-defendants in the Georgia election case with DA Fani Willis. Now, this whole time, Fani Willis have been telling us she never colluded with the White House. Don't know anything about Washington, never worked with the January 6th committee, none of those things. The Biden administration said that they never colluded. She just so happened to bring these prosecutions forward coincidentally with Letitia James and with Alvin Bragg and with Jack Smith, all at the same time in 2023, coincidentally. That is until a lawsuit was made. And when that lawsuit was made, come to find out that the documentation that would approve that this had been taking place had been sealed up as classified, not to be touched, not to ever be disclosed to the public. But luckily, a lawsuit by an organization called Just the News, they did it, and a man by the name of Jeff Clark, who was one of Trump's co-defendants, has made it public. So in this video, I'm not going to show you a video clip of it. I'm not going to show you a clip of somebody else talking about it. I'm going to show you cold, hard evidence of Fani Willis's office and Fani Willis colluding with the Biden administration, colluding with the Justice Department before they ever took President Trump to trial. Now, everybody's been waiting on these prosecutions, and people got to remember, there's demands on Epstein arrest. Now, this whole time, the media doesn't cover it, but there's been a ton of arrests going on as far as for foul play within the DOJ, people being fired from the FBI. We got the situation with the border. We got cartel leaders being arrested and prosecuted in America. Judges, Democrat, Marxist, activist judges have been arrested and prosecuted and sentenced to jail. We got members of Congress who have been prosecuted and arrested and are currently on trial right now, Monica MacGyver. So just because the lamestream media isn't promoting it doesn't mean it's not happening. And as a matter of fact, what I found out today is that if you use Apple News, 140 million people use Apple News. Do you know that they found out that they just did 600? They put 600, and including the last 96 headlines and articles that have been posted on Apple News. And there's even more. Like I say, they found another 600. Do you know that not one is a conservative leaning report? Not one reports on the progression of America. Not one. So if you're somebody that uses that app, yeah, it may look gloom and doom, but if you're a leftist that uses that app, that's how they're being radicalized on top of MSDNC and CNN. But let's get into this. So bear with me because you're going to see the evidence that we've been waiting on. And I do got video clip in here for you to show you how Biden and the administration was able to reward Fani for her skullduggery, allegedly, even though it's not alleged because it's already been discovered. And I'll let you make up your mind if you feel like this was some form of a kickback or payment for a job soon to be well done. So let's go with it. So as you can see here, let me make this larger. Make sure you can see this fully with me. Oh, it's at 175. Okay. So this article here, I'm going to read this. How the Democrats prosecuted Trump. Then we're going to get into the evidence of this stuff. The Democrats' attempt to imprison Donald Trump, their number one political opponent over the last decade, is unprecedented in American history and is more redolent of banana republic than the American political tradition. Democrats in New York and Georgia largely did the party's dirty work, charging Trump under state laws. Democrats maintained the pretense that these bogus prosecutions were independent of the Biden administration. But now we know that wasn't true. The effort to end Trump's political career through farcical criminal charges was orchestrated from the top. On behalf of its client, Just the News, America First Legal has pried loose 8,000 pages of documents related to the disgraced Fani Willis's failed prosecution of Trump in Fulton County, Georgia. Their contents are described here, and a number of the documents are linked, which we're going to look at. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis coordinated extensively with the Biden Justice Department and White House, as well as Democrats on the House January 6th investigative committee, as she built a failed criminal case against President Donald Trump and his allies related to their challenge of Georgia's 2020 election results, according to a trove of internal communications obtained by Just the News. The memo showed that President Joe Biden's top White House lawyer personally opened the door for Willis's prosecutors to interview Trump administration officials by waiving claims of executive privileges that federal prosecutors waived certain rights to allow the interviews to proceed before a state grand jury that Willis's team spoke glowingly of the congressional efforts to expose Trump's involvement in the disputed election. Wait till you see this, because I got the document on what Biden did too. The Obama administration used executive privilege extensively to successfully fend off congressional investigations, but in this case, Joe Biden waived Donald Trump's privileges for political reasons. That's why Trump he's coming after them, because I wasn't even aware that Biden did this, and I'm pretty in the know. It has been known for years that Biden waived Trump's executive privilege for the congressional inquiry and the federal prosecution of Trump led by special counsel Jack Smith. But the Georgia memo appears to be the first document to show how Biden extended that waiver in coordination with the prosecution at the state level. As I've written before, I've read thousands of complaints, mostly civil, but many criminal. And I've never read two dumber complaints than the criminal charges against Donald Trump in New York and Georgia. The Georgia complaint, among its other failings, never alleged a single criminal or even improper act committed by Donald Trump. Ultimately, it was rightfully dismissed by an embarrassed Fulton County Attorney's Office, but the ones who really should be embarrassed are the lawyers in the White House and Joe Biden's Department of Justice who contributed to the farce. Remember, I've said before, if you watch my videos, that there's a RICO getting put together. Now, if you're enjoying this video, do me a solid. Hit that thumbs up, because I will never ask you for a cash app, a super chat, or a donation. But you hitting that like button, it helps get videos like this out to other people and waking them up. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And then once you do, whether you're already subscribed or not, once you hit that notification bell, select all. That way, YouTube will make sure that you get notified when I upload new videos. So while you're not seeing massive sweeping arrest of individuals, it is much easier to tie them all together on the RICO, especially with what we got now. You can connect everybody in one big case rather than let me go here and try this person, let me go there. So I keep asking people, be patient. Pam Bondi is working, but Thomas Sowell is the one who leaked this strategy. And if you're familiar with political science giants like Victor David Hanscom and Thomas Sowell, these two men, one white, one black, they know what's going on. And he said, watch out for the RICO, because that is the strategy of how to connect all of them, get them in one big case, and it's much easier to prove conspiracy than if you go by each one, where one can watch and see what the defense is, and they can prepare and strategize to try to beat that. One big sweep right before the midterms. Don't be shocked. Now let's get into this information. Now, real quick, before I go to the documents, I want you to listen as John Solomon, who hosts the Just the News podcast, I want you to listen to what he says as far as payment goes for Fani. Check this out.
The Justice Department comes to Fani Willis and says, hey, we just want you to apply for this grant, and we're going to take this grant, which is normally competitive. We're going to make it non-competitive. Basically, you're the only one that's going to get the money. Just fill out the paperwork and take your cash, about $2 million. It's that classic Washington grant, go help kids, not really much specificity. But they move it from competitive to sole source, meaning it's wired just for her. It looks like the old Boss Hogg way of doing business, or Tammany Hall way of doing business. And I think for Jim Jordan, or Barry Loudermilk, who was on our show last night investigating January 6th from the Judiciary Committee, this is a pretty serious issue for them to investigate. This looks like a gift grant to Fani Willis while she's doing the bidding of Joe Biden to pursue and tie down Donald Trump and his friends in a criminal prosecution in Atlanta. It looks just like Tammany Hall, Chicago-style politics. And there's now a complete body of documents for Congress to look at this. It's a pretty clear case of what's going on.
So as you see, so they were doing kickbacks with Fani. Now let's get into this first document. Now this document here is from Casey Lucier. Okay. Now Casey Lucier, she is the attorney counsel for the January 6th committee. Matter of fact, let me make this bigger so you can see this. She is counsel for the J6 committee. And as you see, that's who this is from. Going to Michael Hill, DA, and Tim Hefe. And you will see who these gentlemen are. They also are representation for the January 6th committee. And you see the attorneys for Fulton County, Wakeford right here. So the subject, Select Committee Outreach. The date, April 27, 2022. Now, the reason why that's critical, because check this out. Trump was indicted by Fulton County indictment. A grand jury indicted Trump and 18 other co-defendants on August the 13th, 2023. in the Georgia election case. So over a year and a half later, so this is a year and a half prior to any grand jury indictment. So good afternoon, Investigator Hill. On the heels of all of the stuff that's taking place in the country right now, seniors, it's extremely important that you make sure you've got the best Medicare plan available, because this year, Medicare plans are expected to increase 10%. And that's $215 out of your Social Security check. And guess what? Some of your doctors may not be in network. Some of your prescriptions may no longer be covered. And that would suck for you to be going to visit your doctor to find out they're not in network, or for you to need a prescription to find out it's no longer covered. Why take the risk? With Chapter, you can reach out to Chapter, and a free phone call can last as short as only 20 minutes and speak to one of the highly skilled, unbiased professionals that will help you make sure you got the best Medicare plan available. If you've got the best, great. But if not, they can make sure you've got what you need. So use that number there on the screen, or visit the website at askchapter.org/realpolitics and let Chapter make sure you've got everything you need. I am checking on our plan to meet here in Washington tomorrow afternoon. Can you give me a call this afternoon to discuss logistics? Or please let me know the best person to contact about finalizing meeting details if it's not you. Thanks very much, Casey. So they're writing Investigator Hill, okay? Investigator from Fulton County. From Michael Hill, DA, to Tim Hefe, and it CC'd all of these people, Casey. So it's got the J6 people, the White House people, and Fulton County staff. And as you see, Michael Hill is with Fulton County, Georgia. Casey Lucier, as you see right here, House Select Committee to investigate January 6th on Capitol Hill. She is their counsel. So you got the J6 counsel talking with the Fulton County DA, communicating. We'll keep going. So Select Committee outreach received. We will be in touch as we move closer to the meeting date. See you soon. On April 21st, 2022. Great. Let's plan on starting the meeting at noon on Thursday, which should allow you to travel to D.C. that morning. I think we'll need a half day, though could go into evening if necessary. Our offices are in the O'Neill House office building located at 200 C Street, Southwest in Washington. Thanks, Tim Hefe. So we got another one back on the 21st. Importance high. Good morning, Tim. Thank you for the prompt follow-up. We would like to confirm the meeting date, Thursday, April the 28th. We are currently confirming travel arrangements. Please follow up with specific meeting location and a time when possible. And then everybody's communicating in this, because we got one where we got a request directly for a member of Congress too, but we're going to get there. Investigator Hill. Here's where we get really down and dirty. Investigator Hill, it was good talking with you yesterday. I've discussed your request for information with the committee, and I think we can accommodate it to some degree. As we discussed yesterday, we are willing to provide an oral summary of what certain witnesses have told the committee in interviews and depositions. We are also prepared to give you access to some committee documents in camera in our office. So they want to do it orally, no documents, and then in camera, some of the other documents. We'd like to do this in Washington sometime next week. Would Thursday, 4/28 work for you and your team? If so, we can arrange a meeting in our offices, provide you the proffer, and allow you to view the documents. Look forward to meeting you soon. Tim. Select Committee outreach. Here we go. Good morning, Chief Hefe. I am now responding to this email. However, you and I communicated via text yesterday afternoon. So just, they did it on text, but now they're doing it official, which was crazy. I look forward to our discussion this morning. I have CC'd my prosecutors, who will also be on the call. Thanks. Now, here's where Fani gets brought up. From Tim to Michael Hill, okay? Select Committee outreach. Investigator Hill. I am Chief Investigative Counsel, the House of Representatives Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. So that's Tim. He's another J6 lawyer with Casey Lucier, reaching out to Michael Hill, who's with Fulton County. So I am the Chief Investigative Counsel, the House of Representatives Select Committee to investigate the J6 attack on the U.S. Capitol. I understand that you have reached out today, or some or all members of the Select Committee, seeking information about our interaction with two particular witnesses. Can we schedule a call to discuss your interest in the Select Committee's investigative work? We are available at 9 a.m. if you are as well. If that works, we can send a calendar invitation. In the meantime, we request that you not directly contact the committee members, but rather work through me and our investigative staff to make any requests for committee information, trying to keep down any type of trails. I'm free tomorrow morning if you are free to talk then. We'd like to get more information about what you are seeking so we can evaluate your request for information. My colleague, Dan George, copied here, has been in touch with DA. Make sure you can see this, has been in touch. My colleague, Dan George, who is also legal counsel for the J6 committee, has been in touch with DA Willis about this matter. And we like to ensure continued communication as your grand jury investigation moves forward. Look forward to talking with you soon. Tim Heafy, Chief Investigative Counsel, Select Committee to Investigate J6 on the U.S. Capitol, House of Representatives. So we got every member of the council team communicating with Fulton County prior, a year and a half before the grand jury threw out any indictments. And that is collusion, folks. That is collusion. Why is a state prosecutor's office reaching out and communicating with the White House and Congress about information, about deposition and witness testimony that they can use to try to bring forth this indictment? But yet they lied and perjured themselves. We all heard Fani say, no, I didn't. Nope, never been in communication with them about nothing pertaining to Trump. Perjury. So now let's look at this real quick, because you heard them speak about Biden. I'm just going to read a little bit of this. I'm not going to read this whole thing. I am going to read you this top part. It's very, very important. Okay. So we go right here. Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis coordinated extensively with the Biden Justice Department and White House, as well as Democrats on the House January 6th Investigative Committee, as she built a failed criminal case against President Donald Trump and his allies related to their challenge to Georgia's 2020 election results, according to a trove of internal communications obtained by Just the News. The memos show that President Joe Biden's top White House lawyer personally opened the door for Willis's prosecutors to interview Trump administration officials by waiving claims of executive privilege. I just wanted to get to that point now, but let's get to that. Now check this letter out. And this is September the 13th, 2022, almost a year before the indictments. But they're communicating with the White House. Interesting. Donald Wakefield, Chief Senior Assistant District Attorney to Fulton County. And that Wakeford name, we saw it all in those emails. Dear Mr. Wakeford, I understand that certain former Trump administration officials and senior advisors to the former president have received subpoenas to testify before the special purpose grand jury convened on May the 2nd, 2022. So they got subpoenas to testify before the J6 committee, nothing to do with anything statewide. So I'm going to jump on down here, because it says President Biden recognizes the importance of candid advice in the discharge of a president's constitutional responsibilities and believes that in appropriate cases, executive privilege should be asserted to protect either current or former White House senior staff from having to testify about conversations concerning the president's exercise of his duties. So in other words, hey, listen, we know that it's very good to be able to not allow members of the president's inner circle to be brought in to testify under oath about what the president and the administration did in order to fulfill whatever promises or obligations to the American people. So they clearly know. He knows it plays a significant role. Now check this out. This is where it goes dark. However, the insurrection that took place on January 6th and the extraordinary events surrounding it reflected the most serious attack on the operations of the federal government since the Civil War. These events threaten not only the safety of Congress and others present at the Capitol, but also the principles of democracy enshrined in our history and our Constitution. In light of these unique circumstances, President Biden has determined, as he did with respect to the congressional investigation of these events, that an assertion of executive privilege is not in the public interest with respect to efforts to thwart the orderly transition of power under our Constitution. This determination covers events within the White House on or about January 6, 2021, efforts to use the Department of Justice to advance a false narrative that the 2020 election was tainted by widespread fraud, and other similar efforts to alter valid 2020 election results or obstruct the transfer of power. The president believes that the constitutional protections of executive privilege should not be used to shield information that reflects efforts to subvert the Constitution itself. Such an assertion in these circumstances would be at odds with the principles that underlie the purpose and the foundation of executive privilege. Like they give a crap. Consequently, President Biden will not assert executive privilege with respect to the testimony of former Trump administration officials before the special purpose grand jury in connection with any inquiries related to the subjects in the prior paragraph. So, as you see, that's Richard Sauber, special counsel to the president. So we got Biden doing something that has never been done. Obama used it to keep from being brought in for committing genocide, having drone strikes on American citizens and the ACA and things he did. He could have been brought in by people on the state level, but his executive privilege protected him and his staff. Or about the whole gun running situation that was going on with him and Eric Holder. That same privilege, they used that to keep Eric Holder from being brought in to testify on things that was happening with Obama. But with Trump, Biden's administration said, nope, go ahead. That's how they opened the door, colluding with the state prosecutors in a Get Trump campaign. So Russia didn't work. And so they did a four-corner blitz. Jack Smith, Letitia James, Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis. All horrible, lacking moral attorneys and prosecutors doing the bidding as attack dogs on behalf of the Biden White House, especially since we now know the 2020 election was not valid. It was mega tainted. And oh my God, and Fulton County is getting brutalized right now, not by the Trump administration, by their own people who were afraid to speak up because they didn't think anything would ever happen. But once those boxes was taken, and now there's 50 boxes that are missing, that nobody knows where they are from Fulton County, they've had hearings, and guess what? It was shady. It was stolen from the president. I can say that, and I'll still throw, in my opinion, it was stolen from the president, even though we got all types of information there. But check out this one other document. This one directly names a member of Congress who I'd really, truly dislike. He is one of the most disingenuous people up there, and that's Benny Thompson, the older black guy, congressman, believe from Georgia. Check this out. From, again, Michael Hill from Fulton County to Wooten, Wakeford, all of these good people. Check the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, importance high. That's what it is, Fulton County District Attorney's Office investigation. Good afternoon, Miss Alexis Hunter. Thank you for taking time to speak with me this afternoon. Again, my name is Mike Hill, and I'm a senior investigator with the Fulton County DA's office located in Atlanta, Georgia. Our office is currently engaged in an ongoing investigation related to possible criminal disruptions that occurred during the administration of the 2020 general elections in Georgia. As we discussed, my team and I would like a brief audience with Congressman Thompson, that's Congressman Benny Thompson, related to the aforementioned subject matter. And I apologize, I'm not sure if Benny is a congressman for Georgia, but he is on the January 6th committee. So here we got Fulton County directly requesting a meeting with a member of the J6 committee, Benny Thompson, related to the aforementioned subject matter, which is the 2020 election. Please forward this communication to Congressman Thompson. Thanks, be safe. The strength of a family, like the strength of an army, is in its loyalty to each other. Yeah, and you know why they put that? Because birds of a feather stick together. And all of these slot masters have to stick together and remind each other, hey, no snitching over here. We're going to do this together. Mike Hill, investigator. So where they're saying that, oh, there was no collusion, we have actual documents, thanks to the lawsuit of Just the News, which prove Fani Willis was in direct communication with the January 6th committee, getting testimony, reading depositions prior. And you know that's what they used in their wording or their presentation to the Georgia grand jury. And as you heard, the gentleman said when he reviewed the complaints or the charges, they were two of the dumbest charges, the one in New York and the one in Georgia, where President Trump wasn't accused of doing anything. But they were doing this big conspiracy on him, and that's what they about to rock him right back with, except for they have actual proof now of collusion. Fani Willis's name is in it by the Fulton County attorney saying she has communicated with the J6 attorneys already. Then we got them requesting meetings with J6 committee members, Benny Thompson. Then we got President Biden, sleepy, creepy Joe Biden, removing executive privilege as the president on the former president, which is why when Trump took office, you know what he did? That's why he removed security details. If you were wondering, he eliminated security briefings. He removed detail from people. Look at what they did to this man. And what did everybody call us? Conspiracy theorists. And it wasn't happening. Now we've got proof. We have to share this information. We've been wanting prosecutions. We have to wake the public up. Because if the public doesn't know and believe that prosecutions are worthy, public perception could be way worse than what judicial perception will be. If the public believes it's personal, if the public believes it's lawfare, then it's going to be lawfare. So we need help. We need getting this information out there. We got the documented proof. Fani Willis perjured herself when she said she never did it. She did. Members of the J6 committee perjured themselves when they were brought in. Oh, and the real doozy. Do you know the J6 committee destroyed all evidence, all testimony from their investigations of the so-called existential threat and the worst thing that happened in American history? They destroyed it all. But guess what? We got our hands on some of it. And thank the Most High God, because what happened in the dark with these demon rats is coming to the light. Why do you think they're going so hard trying to push Epstein, trying to do? They're trying to distract, not even trying. They're distracting a large majority. Let me not even say large, because people are waking up. They are distracting a majority of the American public with these little BS rat races over nothing, when the real bombshell stuff is here. Well, we know that there was a coup in 2020 with our election, foreign interference. We know. We got testimony from Venezuela's spy chief. We got testimony from people within these precincts. Now we got proof that the Fulton County DA colluded with the White House and with the J6 committee to prosecute Trump and the 18 co-defendants. We know that now. We also know that the election was shady. Dead people were voting. Votes were double and triple counted. Votes were totally created. Votes were shipped in with Fulton County's name and address on it that were made in China, ballots and driver's license to be given to illegals. There's video proof of it. So I just wanted to bring you this because when I saw it, I had been hearing the rumblings, but you know, like anything else, I'm like, man, I'm not just going to listen to a video or somebody else saying it. I want to see it. So I went through it and I said, oh my God, we got it. We got it. And I wanted to share it with you. So do me a solid, leave a comment and tell me what you think about this. And remember, they're trying to put together a RICO. So don't think Pam Bondi isn't doing anything. And just like with the Epstein case, with all of these people's names being in the emails connected, don't you think it would be much easier to prove a conspiracy than it is to prosecute each individual person? It is. So it's still only the first year. And think about this too. Let's just say they arrested everybody. All these people got resources. They would get lawyers and they wouldn't go to trial for at least a year. And with that many people, it might be 2 years. And if Republicans don't win the midterms, what does it matter? Because what do you think is going to happen in all of those cases? What do you think will happen to them? All of the people that say, oh, nothing's happening to Pam Bondi. They don't think. They're short-minded thinkers, emotional thinkers. And I just like that when it comes from conservatives, because it's not emotional. Emotional decisions lead you down the wrong freaking path. So all of those people that if they were in power would have ran out and arrested a bunch of people, the public would have looked at it terribly. The midterms would come, you'd get blown out, and every prosecution would stop. So now you would have gave the hands back to the lunatic party. All of these people, prosecutions would have been thrown out, and they would have known where you was coming from. So any other things that needed to be destroyed while they're in power, what do you think they would have done? Let's pump the brakes. Let's not be emotional. Let's be logical. These judges, a lot of them are leftist activist judges. You just got to find that one. Then the jury, which is why it's important to get the people to see the treason, because they're the ones that's sitting in the jury box, not you, not I. I mean, maybe we might, but so let's just chill. We got this, and let's watch how it plays out, because the midterms are far more important than any arrest that anybody's screaming, way more. Who cares if they arrest 50 Epstein people? Who cares if they want to give them 100 years? If in the next 9 months, it'll all be for naught because the Democrats will win and throw it all out. So, but I wanted to bring you this, to my people, to the patriots that love this country, and let you see we got them. We got them. And it's going to be hard for them to spin this because it's in black and white. Before, they were able to spin it. Franny was able to put on her Ghetto Queen show. But let's see how she acts now. All that big mouth on what she didn't do and how she wasn't at the White House and ain't no evidence. Couldn't nobody prove it. Show me. Well, now, yeah. It's here now, Franny. Let's see. how she represents. But hey, I wanted to bring it to you. So if you stayed and you watched it, I want to say I thank you from the top and bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate your support. If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you are not subscribed already, subscribe. But most importantly, make sure that you stay safe and that you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, Patriots.